Yo, welcome to Splatoon Stronghold Ludi broadcast. Tonight we're broadcasting Smoothie versus Slow Start. And we're gonna get in the match soon. I do believe they have played one match already, but I guess they've just been having a slow start getting us in here. I'm Asex, joined here by Depression, and yeah, we're
Hi.
gonna get in here soon.
I hate
Uh,
that slow start joke you made. It's terrible.
do we have any maps to go off of? Like, do we have the Ludi maps here? That should just be in the Ludi server, right? No, we have the map in the
Week 5
stream layout.
maps, yeah.
That's fancy. Okay, looks like we're going into Splat Zone's, Clam Blitz Museum, my bad. The score is already 0-1, I believe, for Slow Start's favor. Yeah, what do you think of Clam Zone Museum, Direction?
It's definitely an interesting map mode. I've never really played. Well, yeah, I have played Clamblitz Museum on the Ludi map, but like not any other tournaments. It's a little weird, especially kind of pushing up because those spinners really get in your way, and the clam basket's a little. It's in a really bad spot for when you're pushing because there are two height spots that people can just rain down fire, and you kind of die. So you have to be really careful while pushing.
Yeah, like other Clam Blitz maps in general, you really need to be careful about fighting before you get to the basket. You can't just throw the basket in when you haven't fought for it yet. Just like how you wouldn't grab the Rainmaker when you haven't fought for the Rainmaker yet. You have to have control of the basket before you start scoring those clams. And I do think it is pretty fun on this map because you have the normal ramp push, but then you also have this like flank with the block. And so you can kind of take that, especially if you're going back for clams. It's a very good way to get back in. But I really like this map. Clams on this map is really fun. And I think it's a good time. But we are headed straight into this. So we're gonna get to see these people's comps here. Ooh! Oh, that is weird!
Oh,
Forge
no,
Pro.
meta, triple splash? No.
I don't, honestly, I respect it. I respect the triple splash.
I don't. I hate it.
I think the Forge Pro is a really interesting pick, though. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Forge Pro is generally a fairly mediocre weapon, but ooh, we get to see that splash absolutely shredding people here. Getting a very nice, I believe that was a triple to start off the game, but it doesn't really end up in their team's favor, as they're 2 down now, just trying to salvage everything they can from this push. It's really interesting here how the Splattershot Pro is the longest range weapon in this lobby. The other team running a quad frontline, quad shooter comp. I also think it's super interesting that they have a vanilla shot over a T-Tech. We don't see V-Shot super often. It's Trizuka is not very good right now, honestly. It's not in a fantastic spot. It is kind of just a worse Tri-Strike. It does have a lot more lethality and a lot more killing power, but you have the same special, pretty much, where you're stuck in a vulnerable spot, and you have 3 kind of shots to put out that will displace and potentially kill someone. But we are seeing, we're seeing Smoothie pushing up with that ball, getting some nice control on the enemy plat, but the splash doesn't quite get cleared there, and ends up getting pushed, ends up pushing and getting a pick there, and that is going to kill Smoothie's momentum a very large amount.
Absolutely, Smoothie with a very aggressive start, not really working in their favor. They can't really get in. Oh, but never mind, I eat my words. They have that crab, they have the power clam. Once that crab's runs out, they're gonna be able to score. They have 2 power clams. They're able to get both in. A very nice 60-point push. And they're still scoring, still keeping it open, but just as I said before the match, it's very hard to keep the push going, especially on Museum with so much height, so much ways to push. You just can't keep that going. Slow start gonna have to come back from their slow start. Gonna have to start getting clams, start pushing, start trying to make something happen. They get 3 down though. They don't have a super. They really need that super clam immediately. 7 clams, not enough. Oh, there's that super. Really gotta keep that push going though. Crab is getting popped, and that just may be the end of their push.
Yeah, they really don't have the range to contest that upper part. Neither comp does. which is going to make these pushes pretty small without them having to really commit and push super hard off of it. And if they do end up pushing that hard off of it, if something goes wrong, it'll go wrong really hard. And they're likely to wipe because they don't have a long-range weapon to kind of stay just a little bit safer. They have to fight together, and they have to die together too. So we're probably going to see either Slow Start or Smoothie wipe at some point during the match. That's my prediction generally. But we do see Slow Start getting that power clam, getting that control, getting the clam on the grates, trying to fight for control of that upper area. And they are going to take the lead off of that push, getting Smoothie one down. That Splattershot Pro being off the field is going to be very, very bad for Smoothie, because it's really the only long-range pressure they have.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry. Yeah, absolutely. Slow Start really starting to get that push in, though Smoothie really has to work on their defense here. Ooh. Oh, Slow Start gets wiped. Smoothie able to just stop the push right in its tracks, able to get mid control. They're going to have to paint up for their specials, because Crab is very important in these fights. If you don't have Crab, you do not win. So one Crab is getting popped here. We have a Crab and a Booyah. To double Crab. Booyah, still holding Booyah, does die to the Crab, unfortunately. Can't really do anything against a Crab, really, if you don't have Trash Strike.
Yeah, I do think that, I think it's really interesting that, Slow Start did actually wipe in that push there. You can really tell that, like, you don't have that long-range weapon. Wiping is a huge, huge, huge risk. I do think that they do have the tools to fight Crab generally. It's not hopeless if you don't have a Tri-Strike. But I do think it is fairly interesting that Smoothie doesn't have one. Or that Slow Start doesn't have one, that's my bad. They could have had one. They have that V-shot. They could have ran the T-Tech there and had the Tri-Strike to deal with the triple Crab. But it's just not working for them. But that being said, they have Smoothie 2-3 down, and that does look like it is potentially going to be game. Unless Smoothie can pull out an absolute miracle. Yeah, no, they don't have a ball to follow up even.
Yeah, it's a very unfortunate, very, very good plays from both teams. Very, very close indeed, but Slow Start just able to take it out on top. Just able to get more kills all around.
Yeah, I do think it's pretty interesting that they just didn't really have the Crab tanks you can tell with their comp, with their strat, they really just pretty much they want to always have a Crab tank up. Like that's their long range plan. They really want to always have that Crab tank available. But with the duration nerf, you can't really do that. Like that's not really feasible anymore. The duration nerf, actually, I think like Triple Splash isn't very good right now. I think it's like workable and you can do stuff with it, but it by no means is like amazing, because you're really sacrificing a whole lot for that extra Crab tank, where you could have like double Splash and a T-Tech there, and then instead of just having another Crab tank, you have a Tri-Strike, and that Tri-Strike is going to be really good at dealing with Crab tanks. It's all about the opportunity cost. It's not about how good Splash is, it's about what you're giving up by running other weapons, and there's diminishing returns. That's why you don't see quadruple Splash, because that last weapon is pretty much always going to be more useful than a Splash.
Absolutely. Crab Tank, the duration nerf actually wasn't that it wasn't that big from what I've played, what I've tested. It's not that big. You can mitigate it completely with 2 subs of special power up. 2 subs of special power up, it doesn't matter. But really, triple Splash isn't really that good. Just as you said, that those extra weapons like E-Lead or like T-Tech, like Machine, you're losing so much pressure, so many good specials, so much range by just running an extra Splash. Yeah, kind of sometimes it bites you in the butt, but sometimes it just works out so well.
Yeah, and I can really tell that they're trying to kind of emulate the triple Splash Machine comp that we saw in the early days of Splatoon 3. But it doesn't work with a Forge Pro. Like they killed Machine's Booyah output, so you can't have that Booyah to counter Crab tanks anymore. Like super often, like you're gonna get that Booyah bomb just a couple seconds too late for the Crab tank counter to really work. In order to counter a Crab tank with a Booyah bomb every single time, you're gonna want to have a Booyah bomb every single time that Crab tank gets popped. but because the Bria Bomb is slower, you're always going to lose the race. But we are seeing we're seeing them opt for a slight comp change. And now we're seeing V-Shot on both sides? No, okay. Slow Start has opted for a Tri-Strike instead, where Smoothie has opted for a V-Shot, kind of trading off that weapon. I do think V-Shot isn't really the play here, but we do see that machine in place of the Forge Pro, trying to just get that Bria, trying to just use that to counter object vessels, when right now I honestly think Tri-Strike just does that job better. They both do differently. Both do things differently. Machine is really good at playing a little bit more aggressively around its special, because that Bria Bomb can give you like a safety net in a way, and being able to have that is going to be really huge. But we have seen Smoothie go 2 down off the bat with Slow Start, up 1 player. They're really going to have to try and fight this here in order to stop a push from happening. They do have a Crab Tank at their disposal though, but the V-Shot does have a Trizuka. And we do see that Crab Tank come out. Are we going to see the Trizuka to come and try to counter it? Yes, we are seeing the Trizuka get popped, and it instantly shreds the Crab Tank. They won the Trizuka lottery, and that is going to get that pick on the Crab Tank very nicely. But we do see that Tri-Strike coming out, absolutely making that Splatter Shot have to run for their life. And there comes the Crab Tank from Slow Start. The V-Shot trying to counter it, but it doesn't quite work, and the Splash gets the pick on the V-Shot. And that's 2 down on Smoothie, but 2 down, 3 down on Slow Start as well. Really going down. Everyone is dead right now almost. It's just the Shot and the Splash fighting with each other. And the Splash wins that fight. And they are likely going to get that pick on the other player, but no, they don't. But they are going to take this opportunity to try and grab the tower. They're very close to Crab Tank, and so they are going to pop that on the tower as well. Going to try and just push Smoothie back. They don't have the range to contest that Crab Tank right now, but they do have that Tri-Strike coming out, which is going to be very useful. And the Bria Bomb comes out as well, trying to get that tower. But it doesn't find a whole lot of value there. And now Smoothie does have an advantage, but they don't have any specials to play off of it. And the Splash Sharking there is going to get that 1 pick on the machine and get a trade as well, which is going to turn things right back around.
Absolutely, both teams are just killing each other over and over again. No one can really get a good push in. It's just everyone just keeps trading over and over again. That's kind of what these 4 aggressive weapon dittos look like. T-Tech popping the Tri-Strike, trying to buy some time. Gonna be able to get that first checkpoint pretty easily. Splash on the tent here. As Crab, gonna be able to pop the Crab, hold a bit of space. Crab versus Crab. It's the Crab duel. 2 Crab versus 1 Crab. I mean, Crab beats Crab. It's really that simple. We love Crab Tank here.
Crab Tank is still such a goofy special to be in the meta, I think. But we are seeing Slow Start 17 points from the victory, with only 1 player left on Smoothie alive. We're really going to have to see if Smoothie can fight this. They are just 1 checkpoint away from that KO. 2 minutes left on the clock, so Slow Start doesn't really have, or Smoothie doesn't have a lot of time to push back after this. But they really need to fight for tower here. If they don't, then that's just a KO. They need to get Slow Start out of here. And that, it looks like they are going to be able to do with the Splashmatic going down. Crab Tank coming out though, and it's going to take the refrag off that machine. It gets shredded, but they are going to continue to try and fight here. Another Crab Tank coming out. We're going to see the Splash trying to fight the Crab, and we see the Trizuka absolutely shredding that. And Slow Start is going to be back in control with just the machine left. And with only 17 points left on the board, it isn't going to be super hard to get this KO here.
Absolutely. Slow Start just really needs to play their specials well, and they are. The Splash holding off that 1 player, going to pop Crab, and that's it. All you really need is 1 Crab Tank to win.
That is, I mean, it's not that simple. I think a lot of people overemphasize how good Crab Tank is. It's not amazing. It's not a win button. It still has weaknesses. It still has counterplay.
That's very true, but in defense of Crab Tank, unfortunately, Crab is just so good with painting and killing people that if you use it at a safe distance, you can't really do a lot about it. Not without specials. Especially
You
since you're
can play around.
respawning constantly. You just have to wait it out. And at that point, that's kind of just like playing Splatoon 2 all over again, waiting out armor, waiting out
I
Ray.
I respectfully disagree. I think Crab Tank has a lot of counterplay, way more than armor. It's kind of it's subtle counterplay. It has a lot of depth. I think that's the most important thing. Crab Tank is really deep. In terms of the team using it and the team playing around it. If you don't set up a Crab Tank properly, it's not going to get a lot of value. The reason that Crab Tank is ran isn't because it's super amazing or super broken, but it's just a little bit better. It's just that little bit better than other specials in the game right now. And so the opportunity cost of running it over other stuff, you're better off using a Crab Tank than other things. I think Tri-Strike is going to change that a little bit. Not only does it counter Crab Tank, but it does shred objects really well, which is one of the things Crab Tank is very good at. Now, given it is better at shredding objects for a sustained amount of time, but Tri-Strike does other things and has different strengths. So I think Crab Tank is honestly fine. But here we are going to Rainmaker Mincemeat. I don't know what the people behind the Looty map lists are on. No. Every single no, that's a little mean. But every single Looty set has pretty much had Rainmaker Mincemeat in it. And I just think it's kind of weird.
Mahi clams and Rainmaker mincemeat. I mean, what's next? As soon as we get as soon as we get Moray Towers in Splatoon 3, the Looty map list people are gonna start laughing at us. Gonna put Moray Towers Rainmaker. Make us suffer.
On one hand, I do think the maps have issues, but on the other hand, I kind of see why, because it does kind of force people to. It forces them to be versatile. You can't have a team that, like, if your team can't play on Rainmaker Mincemeat, then you're gonna do worse in your Looty set. So having that skill set to be able to play on Rainmaker Mincemeat is gonna be really good. But we are gonna see Smoothie getting this opening pop. It looks like given that slow start had a slow start there, literally. We see them doing stuff. Ooh. That Trizuka comes out to try and get the pick on the crab. It doesn't quite happen, and here comes the second crab. And are we gonna see? Ooh, no, that splash is gonna be picked off a burst bomb and isn't going to be able to play off of that Crab Tank's pressure. And here comes another Crab Tank from slow start. Looks like they're popping two of them here, and they are getting a whole lot of value off of these. Trying to just get a lot of stuff, throwing burst bombs around. They know where those people, they know where their opponents are, and they know that they can't move, so they can really throw those burst bombs at them. But it does look like they might be able to get first checkpoint, which isn't a super common sight on Rainmaker Mincemeat. That's a tongue twister. The map is very easy to defend on and very hard to attack on. It is so an even fight, but it's an uphill fight for both teams, it feels like. Oh, and that BO bomb comes out, and the Rainmaker isn't going to have any place that it can move. And so that is going to be the Rainmaker going down.
Absolutely. Slow Start really needs to see these specials here if they really want to push that first checkpoint. It's just so hard with how many bombs you can throw and how many specials you can use. It's so hard. It's just a hallway. It's just kind of like a hallway, kind of like Walleye Warehouse, pushing those checkpoints. It's either you push grates or you push uphill. Splash here trying to get something done. Nothing happens. Still don't see the Rainmaker popped yet. Slow Start is gonna go for that pop. They're gonna pop that Trizuka and the Reef Slider. Unfortunately, Reef Slider does get punished, and Slow Start is 2 down. The V-Shot does die to the Crab Tank though, and Slow Start does get a pick off it, but they really need these specials here, especially. Oh nope, never mind. They get 2 picks. That might be enough for them to start pushing.
Yeah, I do think it's really interesting that they have a Tetra in their comp here. On such a passive map, running a fight-based comp is kind of a good idea. Now, given the map is still disadvantageous for a fight-based comp, but you're also going to be playing a more passive comp more often, in which case you are going to want to force them to fight. So I do think the Tetras are a fairly interesting pick. But I also think it's fairly interesting that they don't have a lot of... Neither team has a lot of range here. Like, no one is running a leader, which I think is really interesting. I think both teams ran their comps expecting to fight a leader, and both of them have their Mincemeat comps designed around fighting leader. I know for sure that my team runs an anti-leader comp on Mincemeat. But when both teams run an anti-leader comp, there's no leader to fight. But we are seeing Smoothie getting that first checkpoint and pushing a little bit past it too. Honestly, this might be all that they need. But Slow Start does absolutely dive on that Rainmaker, getting the double, but also going 2 down in the process. So overall, it's still pretty even. But that Splash does manage to get the jump on that machine and get the pick from short range. So many picks are happening left and right here, with Slow Start absolutely fighting Smoothie. And they might be able to get first checkpoint here. Especially with that crab tank coming out. It's going to pressure a lot, but ooh! The suction bomb exploding on the back of the crab tank and taking them out! That is next level stuff. I've never seen that before. Very, very well placed suction bomb there.
Definitely. I have seen that before, but it's very, very hard to pull off. Just so close of getting that first checkpoint. Unfortunately, Slow Start here, not going to be able to get that first checkpoint. Really going to have to fight this last minute. They really got to think of something here, because if they don't do anything, if they don't push up, it's going to be they're gonna lose just immediately. Fighting the Splash here gets the pick. They are 2 down, but the Rainmaker does reset. So, I mean, yeah, Slow Start can't really. Still trying to find an opening, still trying to push. They might have an opening here. No, they don't. The bombs. Oh! See, the Reef Slider. Unfortunate.
Ooh.
Almost had the opening there, but Smoothie was quick to shut that down.
I think that's an example of seeing a poorly set up crab tank. Because they didn't really. That crab tank was a little bit too far back, and they couldn't really help that Rainmaker, and so the Rainmaker did just get dived on there. Their team kind of split way too far forward and way too far back from that Rainmaker. But it does look like the Rainmaker is going to reset, but that being said, Smoothie is 2 down. 3 seconds left on the clock. They have to get this pop and grab it as soon as possible. This is going to be a really, really tricky battle. Slow Start 1 down, and ooh! Smoothie dives on that Rainmaker and gets the pick. And that is going to be game 4 for Smoothie. They aren't going to give Slow Start a clean sweep here.
Yeah, definitely a very interesting game. I've never really seen a mincemeat game where no one runs E-Leader. It's really, really interesting to see how people fight on mincemeat without a lot of range, without having to worry about an E-Leader constantly.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I do think both of these teams are just like very, very rushdown heavy teams. They both have really good rushdown comps. For the most part, they have really good comps for playing aggressively and fighting a lot. Because those short range shooters, the thing that they do best is fighting. They're also very good at painting, and they're just extremely versatile. But they can also fight really well. They're pretty much what you're going to use to win your fights in general. Just because of their quick, consistent multi-kill times at short range. That's one of the most valuable things you can have in a frontline aggressive weapon. It means you can really tear through a disoriented team, and really, really play off of your teammates' fights super well. Whereas other weapons like blasters, sloshers, those are also fairly good at fighting, but they kind of have to take their fights differently. They have to think a little bit more because they have really good strengths, but also pretty dire weaknesses. And so they need to play around that and kind of take their fights a little bit more carefully, be a bit more considerate about which fights they want to take. Whereas a shooter can kind of just have pretty good odds in any fight, whereas something like a slasher will have really good odds in some fights. But we are going on to Zone Surgeon. A very good map, I think. It's from Splatoon. It's a really good map from Splatoon 2. One of the best ones that they had in that game, and I'm really glad they brought it back in this one. I think it's just a really fun map to move around on. The grates and stuff are really, really fun. All of the verticality is also just really fun. This is one of my favorite maps.
Yeah, Zone Sturgeon is always a good map mode to play on with all the flanking routes and all the verticality. You can always approach here and you're not just gonna die to like an E-Leader sniping on snipe like most other maps on Splatoon 3. So I definitely do love me some zones on Sturgeon Shipyard.
Yeah, but to be fair, a leader setup on snipe can be very, very threatening. You still have to play very carefully around a leader.
Absolutely, but you can do a little more about it than on certain maps like Brine Water.
Yeah, but we are headed into this game. We're seeing almost a mirror comp on both sides. I think that's really interesting. Slow Start opting for a machine, which I don't know if they have. I know machine is a new weapon for one of these comps. I don't quite remember which. Both of their comps are very similar. I believe it was Smoothie that is new to having the machine, but I could be wrong. But we're seeing double splash machine and another short range shooter on both sides. But we're gonna get to see the difference between 52 and T-Tech here. I do think it is fairly interesting. 52 gal has that wall, and while that wall isn't free to set up, once you have it down, it makes your fight really, really easy to win. And so you really can't let that 52 set up their wall there in that fight. Ooh, nice pick from the 52 on the machine. Smoothie is now 2 down, and Slow Start is really not playing true to their name here. They're having a very, very fast start. Lots of fights already below 30 points. This is actually really bad for Smoothie here. They're 2 down with 20 points left remaining. They have to push in really fast. This could be game 5 already taken for Slow Start. We're seeing one person push on. They're 2 down, and that looks like it is going to be game for Slow Start. Ironically, taking a very, very quick start instead.
Slow Start basically played that perfectly with how they went in, just killed everybody, then pushed up to their spawn, and Smoothie couldn't really. Well, Smoothie could do things, but they weren't. They were kind of staggered. They weren't really painting for specials, and they didn't use their specials too aggressively to start killing some of Slow Start and start pushing back in.
Yeah. But I do think here's one of those maps that people always say is one of those maps where the leader is really dominant and you can't do anything about it. But I honestly think it's not that big of a... I think a lot of people think that leader is a lot more dangerous than it is. Now, given a leader can play very, very... They can get a whole lot of value if you're not playing around it correctly. But I do think playing around the... do think playing around the leader correctly is easier than some people think, and I do think it works a little bit better. I don't think this map is that bad. I think the core map design is very different from Splatoon 2 maps, but I don't think it's bad.
I think yeah, you can play around leader really well on this map. It isn't that threatening. You can play around it really well. I don't like this map because it's very cramped. That's kind of what I hate about it, is all the fights that I have to do are just in like such weird spots that sometimes it just kind of sucks. That
I do think it is just most people aren't used to this map design, and they don't really realize that this map design is fundamentally different from other maps in this game. With most of the Splatoon 3 maps, they've been kind of changing up their map design philosophy, making it so mid isn't a good spot to be in. Like, all of the stuff that's usually in mid is kind of gone. But it isn't gone from the map in general. It's just in a different spot. It's behind and in front of a mid. You really can't chill in mid like you can in other maps. You really have to push in front of it. And as soon as I started thinking about it like that, map has been more fun. All of the Splatoon 3 maps have just been more fun, and they've made more sense. Because you really have to push ahead of mid. But here we go. Going into game 6, Smoothie with their back against the wall. Match point for Slow Start. We're going to have to see if they change up anything or if they stay strong and try to go for this, essentially a reverse sweep. This is by no means unwinnable, but it is going to be an uphill battle.
Absolutely. Slow Start going with the triple splash again. A little questionable, but it has worked before. It will probably work again, especially on Eeltail. It's so cramped that Crab Tank can work really well in those corridors and on top on bridge. Both Crab Tanks getting popped from Smoothie, but saying no reward.
Ooh.
Slow Start getting 3 picks. They have the clams. They just have to start passing them over.
Ooh, okay. They have enough clams to technically make a ball in. Oh, they actually managed to get the ball in. But they don't really have many clams to follow up after that. They have to fight here as well. You can really see, the enemy team has clams, but they're choosing to fight instead, because when you're at that basket, fighting is still your #1 priority. You have to win that fight in order to get the clams in. But this is so far a devastating push for Smoothie, all the way down to 47, not even a minute left in the game. Slow Start, yet again, taking one of the fastest starts I've ever seen in Clan Blitz. But they have gone one down here, so that things are going to start getting a little bit scrappy, but Smoothie has gone down as well. Smoothie's gone 2 down. They need to get these clams in. There's not a whole lot of time, but they have managed to keep the basket open for just a little bit longer. They need to go back for more clams. They just need 5 more clams, and they're good. 52 Gal coming in with 3 of them, trying to get them in here. Really, really close to being almost an instant knockout. They need just a couple more clams. The 52 Gal has enough clams to end this, and they're going to throw them in the basket, and that's going to be game! Game 5 for slow start, taking less than 2 minutes. Not game 5, game 6, but that is going to be slow start's first win with one of the quickest games I've ever seen. Not saying true to their name. Very, very well played. That was almost instant.
Slow Start really, really handling those clams really well, and those fights, just fighting when needed and just backing up and throwing more clams and really keeping that basket open. It was close, I think once or twice, but yeah, Slow Start just played that fantastically.
Yes, indeed. But that being said, that is the very last game. And so it is time for us to tune out. Depression, where can these people find you?
You can find me at Proxy3 on Twitch, and that's really all I use. I don't have Twitter. Yeah, I stream sometimes. And Asect, where can we find you?
I'm Asect, ACECT on YouTube, and Asect with 4 T's, ACECTTT on Twitter and Twitch. Thank you guys for tuning in, but now it's time for us to tune out. We will see you guys for the next Ludi set, whenever that happens. See ya.
Bye.